Hello and welcome to episode 382 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is Matthew Caws, yes, the front man from the incredible band Nada Surf. And on today's episode we get to talk all about the band's history and their brand new album Moon Mirror. It is so good, it's out now, and please go and listen to it because you will absolutely adore it. It's so good. In my opinion, it's one of the albums of the year, and you'll hear snippets on today's episode to give you a flavour of what to expect from this amazing band. So what I normally do before I bring you the interviews is I like to touch base and talk about my last episode, and this one was huge. Episode 381 with Joey Lauren Adams. This episode blew up. Thank you so much to all the huge Viewerskew and Kevin Smith fans that shared it on so many Facebook groups and Twitter profiles and Instagram. I've never seen an episode of mine shared so much, so thank you so much to everyone that took the time to share it. It really means the world. But today it's all about Nada Surf, a band I really do think are just unreal, have been in the industry for so long and still releasing some of their best music right now, and I can't wait to catch them on their UK tour. Anyway, enough from me, let's get to the interview. So here's me and Matthew Caws talking all things Nada Surf. So Matthew, welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Hey Mark, thanks for having me.
What I love to do is I love to take it right back to the very start with all guests that come on. I like to go down a kind of trip down nostalgia lane, and I'm always intrigued when you were growing up, what was that first album that made you fall in love with music? Maybe you were given it by a friend or a family member, or you went out and got it with your own pocket money. But what was that first one that you still remember today that really made you kind of want to be in a band or just love music?
Well, it's a few different times. One is that I heard the Beatles on a single at a friend's house, my best friend's house, when I was like 6 or 7. Then when I was 10 or so, I borrowed the Red album from a friend and loved listening to that. But then the really formative experience, and here I'm almost embarrassed to tell you because it's such a formative experience that I've told this story a few times. I'm not one of those people who have like 9 million stories. You know, you have those friends where you're like, and you never told me that. And
I
you never told me
know.
that.
I've known you
So
this long and you've just suddenly
yeah,
told me this.
so I'll say it quickly and hope maybe that people that are listening to your podcast aren't listening to the other couple where I've said the same thing. But anyway, my best friend, his older brother was at boarding school, so we didn't see him much. But his room was next to my best friend's room, and um, the art on his walls was different from the art in the rest of the house. It was like modern art and prog rock stuff. Just really interesting. And he always seemed like a nice guy, but I never spent much time with him. And one day he was home from school, and he asked me and my buddy Philip if we'd want to come into his room and listen to some music. And we said, of course. And we were 13 years old. And he sat us down on his bed and he played in succession, in their entirety, with no commentary, Ramones' Rocket to Russia,
Oh, wow.
Velvet Underground Loaded,
Jesus.
and Talking Heads Remain in Light.
How do you digest that in a day?
Yeah, well, I mean, it really excited me and moved me, and it was arresting and eye-opening and
My God.
confusing, but all of it was just like, what is this stuff? I mean, I'd been hearing music on the radio, of course, and my sister and I were kind of radio obsessed, and we were latchkey kids. You know, our parents were out a lot, and we were alone a lot. But this was like a whole other level. Sorry, and I'm confused actually, because when I was 12, the year before, we lived in Paris. Here's the other answer. We lived in Paris for the year, sabbatical years. My parents every 7 years lived somewhere else. So I was about to go to a new school in a new city, and at the end of the summer, my dad offered to buy us each a record. And I think my sister got Simon and Garfunkel's Greatest Hits, and I got Let It Be. And I guess this is what I should have answered because those three, Ramones, Talking Heads, and Velvet Underground were what opened my taste brain,
Yeah.
my adventure brain. But where I really like the first time I really fell in love, not just falling in love with songs, but having them be really friends
Yeah.
was Let It Be because I was so nervous about starting this new school year that for 3 weeks before the first day, that's as long as I had that record, I listened to it every day a bunch of times and asked it for comfort and asked it for bravery and asked it for escape and got all those things. So still the sound of like Two of Us, that song
Of course. Yeah.
means so much to me because um it's romantic, it sounds lonely, it's sweet.
It's got everything.
It's got everything. So those are those are the variety of memories I have that felt really formative.
I can't even imagine trying to be your brain or ears on the day you got those three albums in
Oh
one
my God.
listening. I look at them as religious albums that you
Yeah.
need time to really digest and appreciate and kind of take a bit of time away from the record then to really process what you've just heard.
Yeah.
Your brain must have just melted.
Totally. And the another the real gift of it actually, aside from what they are, which is extraordinary, is that Michael, my friend Philip's older brother, the focus he gave us by being the older cool brother and saying, "Do you want to come into my room?" and sitting us down and not saying anything. It's like he had the older brother authority to make us sit quiet, sit still, and listen. I have ADHD now, and I was probably a jittery kid then, but I just sat and listened. So it's like how focus is a gift sometimes, you know,
I
and
think
somebody also to not talk over it. I've talked over it. I just interrupted you by accident just now.
how ironic.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, and I've talked over a lot of music that I was trying to give to somebody, but because my excitement, I couldn't help but say like, "Oh man, check out this chorus! Here it comes!" Like something's interrupty like that.
I'm on the same page. I will sometimes, I love watching a film with my wife and knowing it's the first time she gets to see a film.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
something like Spike Jonze's Her as a film
yeah.
that has touched me so
I
deeply.
love it. Yeah,
And the moment I put it on, and the visuals and everything, I'm like an audio commentary, and she's like, "Shush, just let me watch now." And I'm like, "Wait for
yeah,
this bit," and oh, this scene, and
totally.
do you know that in this scene here, this isn't actually this is
Yeah,
AI, and I must be the worst person. I must be like, just shut
right,
up, just let me also fall in love with this as well.
right. Right. Enthusiasm's a funny thing. Like they're different temperatures of it, and that one is fun for us, like the commentator.
Yeah. Do you think
And then
it?
yeah.
I was gonna say, do you think it's we need that verification for ourselves in case we're worried that we suddenly find out it isn't all that you wanted it to be, and they might be like, well, actually, I don't think this scene works, or this performance here isn't very good. And did you notice that actor there didn't actually say the right line? And then you're like, oh, don't taint something that in my head is
Right.
perfect.
Yeah, that and then also maybe just liking something with somebody and next to somebody and agreeing on something is like
Yeah.
connection. And have you ever gone to see a funny movie by yourself?
Do you know, I think there's this weird kind of vision at the moment and perception that you shouldn't go to the cinema on your own. I see it all the time, like, that's weird. I'm like, well, the moment you walk into a cinema, you're on your own because even if you're with three or four friends, you
Yeah,
switch off the moment the lights come down. So it's not
yeah,
actually a reason to be social. But I've not really seen a comedy. I've been seeing deep films on my own, like I've been seeing a
yeah,
lot of horrors recently and independent films, but not a real laugh out loud comedy, no.
yeah. Same mostly. And I haven't gone to the movies alone many times, but I have. And I once went to a funny movie all by myself, and it was kind of a lonely experience because I wanted to laugh with somebody.
Yeah. I
Just
suppose laughing with strangers is a different feeling. Are you like, I don't know, are you all together as one, or you just, I don't know, I want to be like, turning around and seeing my best friend
right. I mean, that was.
crying with
I
laughter.
think I liked that there were other people there, but I think it might have been. I may be projecting because it might have been a lonely time in my life, so maybe
Thank,
I was
thank,
missing
thank
somebody
God for
all
films
day.
and music, eh?
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, totally.
I always am intrigued with the power of music, and I was in a band as a kid and as a teenager, and the reason I wanted to be in a band is because of my first live music experience. And I was very lucky. My parents dropped me off in Wolverhampton, and I got to see Green Day on their
Mm,
Dookie tour. So it was a
wow. Right.
real great first gig. And I wondered if you had a great first gig or an embarrassing one, but it might still have meant something to you.
Man, I was so lucky. It's just ridiculous. My very, very, very first gig, remember very little of it, was 1975, and it was the Vietnam War is over concert. And our babysitter took us and told us not to tell our parents. Um, I have an older sister, so it took me and my older sister. And I was 8. We
Yeah.
saw Phil Oakes, Patti Smith,
Oh
and
my
I don't
God.
remember any of it. I remember Patti Smith's white shirt. I don't remember the music, and I remember what Phil Oakes looked like. But the first concert I remember was Simon and Garfunkel in Central Park,
Oh my
which is
God.
yeah,
You
it
don't
was
you don't do things small, do you?
yeah, no, no, I was really really lucky. We lived near the park. The first XTC on the Black Sea tour was the first like rock band I saw. And then U2 on the October tour. I was, 15 or 16, and yeah, blew my mind. Absolutely blew. It's just electrifying. Everything about it. I mean, yeah, I guess if you like those bands, you can just fill in the blanks,
Yeah.
and if you like shows, I don't have to. Yeah, it was just super awesome. I won't waste time explaining because
Simon and Garfunkel live must have been like a trip to a church and just taken into a like a religious experience. I can't even imagine how it'd be.
yeah, well, they were. It's interesting because they were pretty far away. It's 500,000 people in Sheep's Meadow, which is
Yeah.
the biggest sort of open green space in New York. But I think more than the music itself, I think what struck me, or what was the more powerful experience because it was closer, was just the audience. Um, 500,000 people. So being in a really big crowd, and the vibe was excellent.
Yeah.
Really good. I mean, that's a chill audience. Um, and you got the feeling that it was like a gentle exposure to like drinking drugs and stuff because I knew that could tell that people were drinking and I smelled something in the air and that was pot. Um, but it wasn't like bad wild. It was great, soft, loving.
Controlled.
Yeah, yeah, sensible. I mean, you can't imagine. I mean, a Simon and Garfunkel crowd is a sensible
Yeah.
group, chill people. Which and one residue of that is that I really don't mind huge crowds.
No.
My first exposure was so great, so it never weirds me out to be in really crowded spaces. I feel okay.
To try and talk about Nada Surf for the
Yeah,
time we've got, I think is
yeah,
impossible for any band. I've had Brandon Boyd on recently, and trying to talk about 25 years of Incubus was tough enough, but your band's got this legacy and such a long career that I kind of think, where do you even start? But what I was intrigued is, as the insider of the band, were you ever able to take a step back and see the progression and the band growing? Because I'm always really interested in when I speak to the bands, especially of your kind of status, if you ever get that opportunity, or is it too much of a wild ride where you never get the moment to actually digest what's happening around you?
it's always felt really organic. Like I'm not sure I've noticed so much what's changed in how we operate in the practice room, um, or really how it's changed sitting here at my desk. This is my home
Yeah.
studio. Um, so I don't know. Maybe I kind of want to bail on the question because I know I don't have anything articulate to say. Um, it hasn't changed that much. It's pretty natural. I'm one of the many, I bet most songwriters have this feeling that every time you do it, you're like, I don't know how I did that, and I hope I can do it again. Um, I just think everybody's so creative. Like every single person is so creative. It comes from you. I mean, it comes from also from everybody from hearing all this stuff for so long and from your one of your parents singing you to sleep. Music's all around, but I guess I don't think I think it's absolutely beautiful and special, but I don't think it's unique at all.
That's fair.
I don't think I'm a special vessel at all. I think, if you think about your dreams, um, dreams are everybody has really wild dreams, so we're all super creative, inventive.
There's just not many people that can say they've had 30 years in a band, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It takes work, it takes
Oh, yeah.
a lot of love, it takes a lot of challenges, and I think
Yeah.
to overcome and always want to still do it 30 years later and
Yeah.
have a new album coming out, that is pretty special.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's true. I think it is a lot of work, and there have been times it's so much fun too, but sometimes finishing is hard, and sometimes figuring stuff out together in practice can be hard. Sometimes it's really easy, but sometimes it's really difficult. But I think we all feel really protective of of how long this has been going.
Yeah.
And so I think it helps all of us kind of keep it in check and not say anything you'll regret and just try and work towards the center. Um, we're all just trying to finish these things because we know when they're done, we'll really enjoy it, you know. And then I think the longevity, aside from friendship, I think a lot of it is just, I guess, the great luck of having luck. I feel very lucky that people like it, and so the gigs have always felt really celebratory and fun and really rewarding and
Has it felt amazing seeing the rooms getting bigger, the posters getting bigger, the lineup
yeah.
going bigger, seeing yourself on bigger stages at each festival, and now knowing that you can come to shows and sell them out, and it's a celebration.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we don't always sell it out, and we're not always getting bigger. We sort of kind of we hit a kind of point that seems to be staying the same, except that something is slowly growing. I guess just if you stick around long enough,
Yeah.
something's going to grow. It feels great. I mean, to to have your hobby work out is the crazy thing because it's like my favorite hobby is what it really is. It's my
So it
favorite thing to
sounds
do
really
for
cheesy,
fun.
but people say like, you must never feel like work because you're doing what you love.
Yeah, writing is not work. Recording is not really work. Uh, Practice is kind of work, but not really either. Traveling is work.
Yeah.
Being away from home at this point is work. I love touring more than ever. It's just that I have a family and I I miss them, and I just feel bad when I'm away because I think it's I'm not there to help and contribute. So I always feel like it's hard on my partner when I go. But yeah, the work is just being there and keeping your cool and just seeing how important it is to be a team player. It's like being in a really, really, really long marriage that you really, really want to work out, you
That's a
know.
nice way to put it.
Yeah, yeah, that's how
And
it
how's
feels.
it feel with new music? I mean, is that exciting that you can start putting these songs in the set list and then as a band it'll feel more exciting because you've got newer songs to play and you can test with the crowd and see which songs they really get to love and
Totally. Yeah,
yeah.
super exciting. Um, yeah, and I mean, I've been thinking about that lately, and we're it's definitely time to try and play some weirder sets. Because what we've tended to do is every time we make a record, the sort of two or three, possibly four ones that really feel best move into the set, and then three or four songs leave. But what has slowly been happening over the years that it's just like it almost becomes the most obvious ones, you know, the songs that go over the
Yeah.
best or that were listened to the most times or something like that. And But because we have a really wonderful and loyal audience, and a lot of people have seen us many times, I'm starting to have a lot of guilt about that and thinking we need to start playing some deeper cuts.
It must be hard because you're trying to please everyone and get the right set list. And I wondered to myself, how do you even try and get it down to a realistic, 2 hour set or hour and a half when people are you can't please everyone, can you?
No, no, and it'd be nice to switch it from night to night. The thing is that we really enjoy, I really do like having the same set list for a tour because there's this routine that is freeing. Like I love playing the same set for a bunch of nights in a row because it gets easier and easier, and as it gets easier and easier, I feel more present
Yeah.
because there's more muscle memory, and I can more just like be there and enjoy it, you know. Um, yeah, longer, but then you don't want to play too long. Um, I think I saw what was somebody told me was Bruce Springsteen's longest contiguous set. It was like this concert that was the longest without a break, and it was something like 340 with no
Yeah,
break.
he doesn't even have a
Something
support
like
band. He just turns up and does the whole lot
unbelievable.
himself.
But you know, that's how good his songs are. No, no one's complaining. But you do like you stand for a few, you sit for a few, you feel chill for a few. You go through waves of different activity.
And as a selfish thing, as a podcaster, obviously I know you've been a journalist and you've interviewed some incredible, incredible
Mhm.
names. And I wondered how that came about, because obviously everyone will know the story about your band and songwriting, but how did that part come into your life?
So, my one of my very best and oldest friends, Tom Beaujour, um, who now writes books. He's putting out a book on Lollapalooza right now, and he did a book called Nothing But a Good Time, which is a history of
Yeah,
hair metal. Anyway, he worked at Guitar World for a very long time, and he was there when I was working at a bank and wanting to stop doing that and do something I enjoyed more. There was a time when I was working at a bank, temping overnight, like 1 a.m. to 9 a.m., sort of doing pie charts and reports and stuff, um, because it paid really well and I needed money to make demos and pay for practice space and all that stuff.
yeah.
Then I was in a very ambitious band, and that band broke up, and we decided to not think so much about trying to get ahead and just play for fun again, which felt great. I was about 26 or 27. And I consciously thought, let me get a job I like. And I'd sort of wanted to go to journalism school, but hadn't done that. And I asked Tom, and he threw me a review. I needed to review Pavement Wowie Zowie, and I did a terrible job. And the editor, the main editor, wrote me an email saying like, are you familiar with Rolling Stone? You know how it's not inside. You know, it doesn't assume you know anything. Go from that point of view. It's like, okay, so then I did a slightly better one. And then they hired me, and I was like the alternative guy.
Yeah.
I wasn't great. I had a wonderful time, and I'm super grateful for it. But I wasn't a very good interviewer, but I was okay at editing. I liked that part. I mean, I liked all of it. I'm just admitting that I wasn't super good at it. I love
It
good.
sounds like the film Almost Famous, where you get this opportunity to go off and interview some bands and
Yeah.
get your first written article in the Rolling
Um,
Stone magazine.
yeah, it was like that. It was great, and I loved everybody who worked at Guitar World. It's a fascinating place because everybody who was in the editorial department, I mean, everybody in that building played guitar, but everybody in the editorial department was sort of arty and played kind of sideways and had weird taste, and then but everybody in advertising, graphics, everybody else could shred. You know, it's a lot of fast players that work there. My one of the my fondest memory was interviewing Mick Jones from The Clash
Wow.
for something called Prime Cuts, which was where you ask about a number of specific songs, and he needed a guitar for the photo shoot and didn't have one. So I brought my Les Paul, and he held it during the interview. And every time I asked him about a song, he played that song.
Oh, wow.
I would give anything for a video of it because I want that guitar lesson because
Yeah.
I don't remember the parts so well. But that was great. He's a super sweetheart.
You
Um,
interviewed Beastie Boys and Radiohead. I mean, Radiohead would be one of my dream guests of all time. I mean, that must have been mind-blowing.
yeah, that was really great. It was for OK Computer,
Wow.
and it was great. I got the record 3 days before the interview. It was a promo copy, and what really struck me was I listened to it 3 days ish straight. Was that I fell asleep listening to it, which was a huge compliment, in my mind. Like I couldn't fall asleep to a bad record.
No.
I could never relax, but it was so beautiful that I was safe and at ease, and enough to listen to it in bed and drift off. My first thought after leaving the room, because I interviewed them all together, was, man, I wish I was in that band. Those guys are so
Yeah.
nice. They're so nice. I mean, for musical reasons, but also especially just for the vibe.
They just seem lovely.
It's
Like I've listened to
lovely.
interviews with Johnny Greenwood and Tom
Yeah,
York, and they just sound lovely people. I'm like, wow, like you've got the
yeah,
smile, you've got Radiohead, and you just have never let it get to your head. You just seem
yeah.
really humble.
Super cool. Really cool. You know who was like that too? Was I interviewed Pearl Jam, and who I'm not very familiar with. And when I got the call to do it, it was for a Spanish newspaper, El País. They have an entertainment section, and so I did a couple of things for them, being their sort of New York person for like 3 interviews. And I said, I don't know Pearl Jam really well, um, but they were so sweet, the coolest dudes.
Please tell me you got Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, by himself, the band together, and then
Wow.
Eddie by himself for like half an hour. Uh, and he was so chill, just like a
Do you
sweet.
know how much I'd give for him to be on the podcast? Like he
Oh
is, I
man,
made a list when I started and I've completed
right,
all of them, but Eddie Vedder was just untouchable, so I didn't even put pen to
right,
paper because I just thought
right,
it's
right,
too far above reality.
right.
But I'm
He
so
was,
glad when I hear that he's lovely.
oh yeah, super lovely, and also Noel Gallagher of all people
Yeah,
was super lovely too. And that
just
was fascinating because he was very different when I turned the tape recorder on.
really.
Yeah, just said more. What would be the word? What is the word? Not brash. Uh, it kind of said some kind of arrogant arrogant things, but he wasn't.
No,
Before I hit record, it was like this guy's like smart, funny, chill, sweet,
really normal.
really normal. Great, great dude.
So I hear that you're going to be touring and we're going to get to see you over in the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been a
Um,
while.
yep, it's been a while. I don't remember when the last time. Yeah. Do you know I live in the UK, or do you not know that? Do you
No,
know?
I got told that I thought you were mostly in New York.
I'm in Cambridge, England right now. I've been here
Wow.
for 15 years.
We could have
Yeah.
done this face to face.
Yeah, we could have. Where do you live?
I'm right in Shropshire, so Shrewsbury.
Oh, I guess I
It's
don't know
like
how
Welsh
close it is.
border, so like you carry on
Oh, right.
past Birmingham, Telford, Wolverhampton, that kind of.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah. My son was going to school at Warwick for a while.
Oh right, well that's not
Yeah.
too far, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm psyched to go out again. I'm grateful that we've had a long period off the road. It's not really interesting to say, but it's like, I really want to do both.
Yeah.
I wish I could clone myself or have a time stopping mechanism or something. I just want to be home and with my family, and I love touring more than ever. It just keeps getting more and more fun, really.
Is it great that you can kind of bring your family to the shows? Do you get a good, healthy kind of work-life balance so they can see what you love and do, or do you try and keep it as two separate things?
Well, we can't afford to bring them. We're not like successful enough for that kind of thing.
Yeah,
You need like two buses and all that stuff, and we can't do
true.
that. But yeah, my wife comes out now and again, and my boys have seen us a couple times, or one of them has, and the younger one is going to. Um, yeah, but my wife's really supportive and always um, doesn't make me feel bad. I do the making me feel bad. I do that myself.
That's your own brain, isn't it?
Yeah, my own
That's
brain.
what we're good at.
Yeah, super good.
And what I normally do on this podcast is, I know it's a weird one, but there's a lot
Mm.
of people that will be listening and that you've influenced. And if there's anyone out there now that's trying to get into a band or is in a band that's really struggling to try and get heard, have you
Hmm.
got any kind of advice or words of wisdom where you could kind of, from your past experience, talk about that might give them some hope? Because I know it's tough when there's so many bands out there to
Really
try and
tough.
kind of
Yeah.
stand above the rest.
Yeah, it is really tough. Gosh, well, I think what I would say is you have the best part already. So success in a way, the very, very best part, I think, is just how it feels for me is that getting a song right the first time in the practice space is the great, I feel it's like the greatest high. So
Yeah,
if you're already playing with people you enjoy playing with, if you're already doing something you like, then you're winning. That's it, you know. Um, After that, I think it's kind of like if you can transfer wanting to be heard and wanting to succeed, if you can transfer that desire to wanting to really love what you're doing, I think that's healthy because
yeah,
it takes the pressure off the the sort of logistics. Well, it takes the pressure off the part you can't control, and it moves it. Well, it doesn't move pressure, but I guess what I'm trying. One thing I've said over the years is find something you like to do. If there's anything you like to do that makes money,
yeah.
that do that and get
That's not podcasting.
right. Well, get that set. Figure out your rent
Yeah,
first. I mean, keep playing, sure,
yeah,
but
of
in
course.
terms of your true immediate priorities, figure out your rent. Figure out how to make a living and feed and
Yeah.
house yourself. Get that sorted.
Once that's locked in, yeah.
Yeah, and do this for fun. Um, and the little trick in there is that if you do it for fun, you'll probably be better, and if you're better, you'll probably have a better chance of succeeding. So
That's
by
good
not trying to
advice.
succeed, you probably will succeed. It definitely happened to us. We were um, in a kind of ambitious state of mind for a while, and then when we just let go of that and just did it for fun and took jobs that didn't pay as well, but that we enjoyed, just kind of like set happiness in life as a goal, um, life without success. It just, you know, I mean, neediness and wanting to be heard, there's an excitement there, but the excitement of making something, I think, is more powerful and it's more seductive, really,
Yeah, that's
to
fair.
other people. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's not very precise advice, but yeah, enjoy it, make the best thing you can, um, entertain yourself,
Don't
entertain your
put too much
friends.
pressure on yourself.
Yeah, don't. No.
No,
It's 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 everything's okay, you know.
we do that ourselves anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Don't add to it.
Yeah. And making a great record is in practical terms is really within reach. Although I don't agree with what I can't remember his name, the guy that owns Spotify. He
Yeah,
was like, yeah, he said something like, now that creation is free, people should just be creating all the time. Like, I know it's not actually, but um, and
I don't
time is
agree.
money sometimes. I don't agree. I don't agree either. But it is at least kind of reachable. If you can afford a laptop
Yeah.
and maybe you know one exterior microphone would be nice. You can do so much. And um, I mean, the adventure is there to be had. Like, there's so much adventure to be had that's within reach. So try to enjoy it and not worry too much about the end game
Your
or
30 years,
numbers.
your 30-year adventure still isn't over, and I feel like new
Yeah.
album, touring,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
It's so exciting. Yeah, I'm excited about this record. I'm excited to get it out. Um,
New Propeller is amazing, so if that's a taster of what's to come, then I'm like, yep, I want it now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a fun one.
What I do on this podcast, and it's my final question for you today, and it's not an easy question, but I put you on the spot, is as the interview's all edited and ready for the world to listen to, you get to choose any song that means a lot to you. It doesn't have to be by yourself, it can be any song, but I find that there will be one that comes to your heart before any other that you would love to be played at the end of today's interview.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. There's a song by Stereolab
Yep,
called Seabell's Reverie.
I've not heard them for so long.
It was the single on Emperor Tomato Ketchup,
Yep,
and it has the most gorgeous string break, like breakdown with fake strings that it's just what you must have a list of them too, just songs that just physically are so pleasing to you.
yeah, a lot of them are by Jeff Buckley.
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a great one.
but I think I'll come and try and see you. I'm sure it's November. I think you're playing in London.
Yeah, at Islington Assembly Hall.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. If you need tickets or anything, please write to me.
Awesome. Well, I hope it all
Yeah.
goes really well, and I really
Thank you.
appreciate you coming on today. And
Thank you.
I really do mean it. There's an open invite there, and I will follow you up with an email in a couple of months, and
Awesome.
we'll do it.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Mark.
Brilliant.
Thanks so
Take
much.
care of yourself. So there's my interview with me and Matthew Caws, a lovely guy, really open, really honest, and we've already spoken since the episode, and he will be coming back on for a more detailed and longer interview in the very near future, and I can't wait to do that. And if I can, I'll make it face to face so it's even more intimate. Like I said at the start of today's interview, the band have just released a brand new album. Please go and have a listen to it. It's the first album in 4 years from this band, and it's called Moon Mirror. You will not regret it. And if you've enjoyed today's episode and you're new to Mark and me, all I ask, you're never going to have to pay for these episodes, they'll always remain free, but please hit the share button on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, however you listen to the podcast, tell your friends, because word of mouth goes a long way. I'm an independent one-man team and people don't always understand this and think I have this big marketing budget. I don't. It is literally just me. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, just sharing it on any of your social media channels really goes a hell of a way. Also, I do have a Patreon account, so if you really want to support the podcast that extra little bit, you can sign up for as little as £1 or £2 a month. For that, you get episodes which are exclusive just to you called The Lost Tapes. You get a pin badge as soon as you sign up, which you can only get via Patreon. You also get some stickers, you get a monthly newsletter, and so many opportunities to win some incredible prizes exclusive just to Patreons. Anyway, before I go, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of the podcast, Richer Sounds. If you're listening to music and you want to hear the new Nada Surf album on an incredible sound system, why not go to richersounds.com or any of their high street stores and buy yourself an incredible turntable, a mixer, an amp, speakers, whatever you want to get yourself, those guys are the best in town. Thanks again everyone for listening. As always everyone, I'll be back in only a couple of days time with another brand new episode of Mark and Me. So until then, look after yourself, take care, listen to Nada Surf, and I'll speak to you all very soon.